Hello, everyone. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And today we're going to talk about week one of the NBA season, what we thought was great about it, what we thought was absolutely terrible about it. But first, before we get into that, let's welcome the panel. Up top here, we got NMB Sports. How are you today, sir?
Doing good. Another week, another Aggie win. We're rolling. But we'll get back to basketball. But as always, if my Aggies win, I have to let everybody know.
I know, every time you do. We got Hoop God down here. How are you today, sir? You're on mute.
My apologies. I'm great, man. Good afternoon, panel. My Cowboys are a 500 team, so, I can just temporarily take my focus off of that and talk basketball because right now we're suffering. So, yeah.
It's all right. I'm an Eagles fan, so anyway, we got Jay Skapatek here. How are you today, sir?
Doing well. What's up, everyone on the panel? What's up, everyone out there tuning in? And Hoop God, your Cowboys may be 500, but they're sheer ass. They're lucky to be 500.
Hey, Scap, listen. I have no problem with criticism because, again, when they're playing well, I got my chest out. When they're doing bad, I'm humble. So, yeah.
And we got the avatar of AOH down here. How are you today, sir?
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. I am out in the field doing my actual job, which is almost as far from this basketball thing as can be. So apologies, everyone. No camera for me today.
Does that mean that you have not been partaking in your typical Sunday activities if you're working for real? No comment.
That's correct. But a beer is not far away. I deserve a beer when I'm doing hard labor.
AOH, put the honey away. You don't want to attract any bears out there. Fair warning.
Shit, there aren't any bears left. We killed everything.
Yeah. We got somebody in the chat already saying, I'm sure FYF will be attending due to Robin not attending.
Oh, well said.
Yeah. I'm not, and there's a player's choice in here, I believe. Chris Sales. I don't know. Honestly, I just know that that's the avatar. Anyway, Nick, what do you think is the greatest thing that has happened in the NBA season thus far?
Well, obviously I'm biased, so it was good to see Clay look good. I think that's a one for the whole NBA. Clay looked good. I know they didn't look good last night, but Clay still did his job. So, personally, I'm a little biased. I'm just glad to see him come in. Looks like he's going to fit. Looks like it's going to be okay. I wanted to see some things from them the first few games, and I saw it in game one. So, again, I know they lost last night, but look, and the reason why, although I'm biased to the Mavs, but I brought them up, if Clay can do what we hope he can do, right, and his defensive hands look good in game one as well, he looks – the lateral movement looks okay. I'm not saying he's going to be the defender he once was, but, I think the Mavs are a legitimate team, a contender, not a pretender. If Clay can do what they hope he can do, right? So that's, to me, I think that one, seeing it game one right out the gate, it looks good. I think they're only going to get more chemistry from here. I'm just going to be a homer, and I'm going to say that's what I was most excited about this from the week one.
Real fast, we got a super chat that came in already. It says, Scap, when are you going to make a public apology to Braun and JJ? And also, if you want to just follow up with what you think has been the greatest thing in the NBA season so far.
Well, actually, if you're following my channel,
exactly.
I'm sorry.
No, exactly. I said you already issued an apology.
Correct. If you're following my channel, I put up a video yesterday that was said that the name of it was well, I was wrong about this. So you can go ahead on and scope that out. There will be no apology made in that video to LeBron, but I do effusively praise the work being done by JJ Redick. I was dead wrong about him and the punchline that I anticipated he would be this season. And just a quick sidebar before I get to my best thing, the greatest thing. The Lakers look like they have arguably the best roster in the NBA. And this roster was intact for largely like the last couple years. So kudos to JJ Redick for finally getting the roster to play up to potential of really what they should have looked like all along. But the greatest thing that I've seen, again, another team that I'm typically very hard on, with a couple players that I don't really like very much. The Boston Celtics look absolutely ridiculous this year, following up their championship run from a year ago. A pretty easy playoff run. The Mavs wilted in the finals. So I was still not really believing in this Celtics team, even with the roster being as loaded as you could possibly imagine. The best starting five by a mile in the NBA. But Jason Tatum looks like he's taken everything personally that's happened to him during the summer, because people like me still doubting him. He couldn't even register minutes in the Olympics, and he's come out on absolutely fire. And the Celtics look like a very frightening team to me, especially with the Oklahoma City Thunder on the other side looking as anticipated by me. I think the Thunder are going to win probably 63 to 65 games this year, which will actually push the Celtics to play it out, unlike last season when they essentially just dialed it in for the last 2-3 weeks because they ran away with best record. They're going to need to keep playing and winning games to try to get home court over the Thunder for the finals. I think this Celtics team could eclipse 70 wins possibly this year. And at that point, Jason Tatum is probably going to need to warrant some serious consideration for league MVP, which nobody anticipated before the season started. So the Celtics right now would probably be the greatest thing I've seen so far.
Welcome, Sports T. How are you today, ma'am?
Good morning, Michael.
Sports T, how are you?
I'm so good. Happy Sunday, guys.
I know some ladies don't like to be called ma'am because they say it makes them sound like their mother. So, but
You
we
know
do have
what?
a respect.
It's actually really funny to me. I don't take it that way, especially when someone's interrupting me and they're like, "Ma'am, ma'am." It's so funny. But, yeah, Scap, I loved your take, but I just do want to add that the Lakers, I mean, a 4-year-old could have coached them. This is about LeBron being willing to do what is asked of him. And sometimes he might look really great in a game. Sometimes he's going to score. He might be able to do what he wants and score the ball. And sometimes he might not be. And that's what we saw in game 1 and game 2. But it's pretty disgusting that, JJ Redick is made to look like this brilliant coach when my dog could have went to the Lakers and told them what was wrong with that team. Like you said, they've been built to win. So it's not about, great coaching. Frank Vogel knew what was wrong. Darvin Ham knew what was wrong. LeBron James decided that he was not going to, buy into these coaches. And now JJ Redick gets to look like this brilliant coach, and he's willing to listen to him. Why? Because he's willing to coach his son and put him on a development track that we all know is pretty ridiculous. So that's my take.
Hoop God, what is the greatest thing you've seen this year for the NBA?
The fact that the Warriors had the biggest margin of victory by the Jazz, because we knew what the naysayers, what can Steph do without Clay, yada, 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 And don't get me wrong, I have no ill will towards Clay because, hey, he's in my state, so I'm wishing him the best. But just to see that you can replace one guy and then keep the ball rolling, like, to me, that's the epitome of playing in the system, right? You get one guy out, another guy steps up. May not be on the level of that guy you're replacing, but once he starts to get more acclimated, well, you're going to see how productive he can be. And then when you have an unselfish superstar like Steph Curry, that just makes everything flow like just seamlessly. I gotta come to Scap's point. I don't like the Celtics, but man, they are like a well-oiled machine right now. I was expecting the Knicks to at least scratch them. I'm like, bro, are y'all not even gonna punch back? Like, y'all just getting there. But I gotta give credit where it's due. Boston, they look like they're on a mission. And they look like they want to be that third team that's going to successfully defend their title, seeing that we haven't seen that since Golden State. So I got to give credit where it's due so far. I like Alex Caruso's addition with OKC. I really believe he's going to get them over the top. I even did a quick breakdown before the season started. Looking at that young team, they don't have that veteran leadership, that veteran savvy. Like, hey guys, this is how we need to, execute in these pivotal moments. Right now that they have a guy that's defensive minded, he can give you offense, but he's going to give you more defense than anything. Those impact plays that don't show up on the stat sheet. I got high expectations for OKC, and of course the Lakers. I mean, I've always said that roster is a championship caliber roster. The fact that they underachieved so many seasons, like having to get to the play-in to get to the playoffs, it's just mind-blowing. But I got to give them credit. I mean, right now they're 2-0. I like the ball movement. I like Dalton Connect. So far, what I'm seeing him, I'm like Rui Hachimura, like all those guys. They're actually being able to contribute, outside of, hey, we got to stand around and wait on one guy to make decisions, because I hate that type of basketball. So those are my highs and lows as of right now. But I'm rooting for Golden State. Like, I really want to see them contend for a title, to be honest.
Hey, wait, what's the greatest thing you've seen in the NBA season this far?
I want to jump on what both Hoops God and Sports T just said. The moving Clay to Dallas, proving that it's just a system in Golden State. I appreciate you saying that, because, people talk about the Golden State Warriors having been a super team and all that. And I've always said, yeah, I don't know. Is Clay going to be that somewhere else? Would Draymond be that somewhere else? And we're about to find out. But also, I mean, a lot of people come in there and all of a sudden they're like, oh, look at this guy. And then they leave and you're like, wait, who was there last year? So that speaks to the system thing. But I want to talk about some of the similarities that are happening this year, such as last year. And it's overhyping the Warriors. Maybe the Warriors will prove them correct, but they did it last year and they did it the year before. You remember the beginning of last season? They're just like, oh my God, the Warriors' new death line.
We're losing you, AOH.
Lineup. And adding Chris Paul was a joke. All these videos came out. Oh my God, the Warriors have got everybody fooled. Say that every year, and yet they're always undermanned. Speaking of not being undermanned, I'm disgusted that the Lakers have Dalton Connect. How do they get that kind of good fortune? And once again, the Lakers have a magnificent roster, but the beginning of the season is, are they going to be able to overcome? And thank you, Sports T, for pointing out that JJ Redick is getting credit for what Darvin Ham wanted to do and wasn't allowed to do. And people are like, well, then how do you explain it? Well, obviously, JJ and LeBron had a deep talk about it. And LeBron, maybe somewhere deep inside of his egotistical self, is realizing that he simply can't do the things that he claims he can do and is going to back off a little bit. But Sports T, do you forgive me? I don't know if you listened, but you did an episode in which you talked about the Lakers roster was crap. And I said, hold on a second. I don't know if it's as bad as people say. But
I'm not mad at you at all. I agree with you.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And LeBron is 39. He's not 40. I'm with you. I watch you. I support you. I love your videos. And I watched that video. I loved it. I commented.
Hey guys, can I just interject real quick just to put some context on this for the listeners? I just want to talk real briefly about what we are seeing real fast. The Lakers roster is unbelievable right now. Like, look at their fourth best player. Their fourth option is Rui Hachimura. He's averaging 17 points per game and 7 rebounds a night through 3 games, shooting 44% from the field, 50% from the three-point line. That's their fourth option. You've got Austin Reeves right now is averaging 18 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists on like 50% from the field, 45% from the three-point line. Oh, ho, hum. Anthony Davis is leading the NBA in scoring right now. Does everyone know that? He's leading the league in scoring, 34 and 11 right now on average, shooting 57% from the field, 40% from three. Like, this team is absolutely loaded. LeBron, in this iteration of the NBA, even at 39, can roll out of bed and give you 23, 7, and 7, which is what he's doing right now. This team is every bit as stacked as the Boston Celtics, really, if you go down these two rosters right now. And this is what the Lakers have been for a couple of years. And as everyone has highlighted, they have barely made it out of the first round. In fact, they've only made it out of the first round one time. They've won 2 playoff series in 4 years. So I see a lot of people apologize to LeBron. Apologize to LeBron for what? For finally taking the ball out of his hands and letting Anthony Davis become like a top 3 viable player every single night, night in and night out in the NBA. So I just wanted to layer those statistics on in case anyone was confused about what we
guys are 100% right. So I want to be very clear in that the Lakers made no changes to their roster, and they've been a play-in team, So for me, the roster was poop. Seeing what they're doing right now, they look great. They look great. They look how they're supposed to look. So no, those guys are not actually bad players, but they've been playing bad basketball for years. Rui Hachimura didn't just get there. Austin Reeves didn't just get there. And that, the point that I was making in that video, AOH, was really just that they're not going to be good playing in that LeBron system. No team is. And I mean, I think that we see that on, in other players, James Harden, Luka Doncic, that style of offense is not winning basketball. It's not conducive to team basketball. So
Westbrook.
I just felt that they needed more catch and shoot players. If you cannot catch the ball and shoot in the LeBron system, you're built to lose. So that's what made the roster trash, not the actual players. So, but you guys are right, and I think we're all saying the same thing, just in different ways.
Sports T, did you want to add on? And I know that you had went after Scat, but did you want to add anything on otherwise that about something great with the NBA season, or did you cover?
Oh, sure. Otherwise? I mean, what I think is the greatest thing that I've seen so far in this season is the Celtics, the way that they came out on fire. I really disagreed with what Scap said. Jason Tatum has been on a tear. That team, you see them coming back. They look like they're a lock to repeat. I don't see how any team in the NBA is going to beat them if they continue this way.
I know for me, the greatest thing that I've seen is the 3 minutes of absolute father-son love in game one of the Lakers. You know what? That was the greatest thing that in basketball history, or at least people would like you to believe that. I got to say that I've been so busy lately. I watched parts of 2 games yesterday, the Clippers Nuggets game, which was a really good game, and then the Lakers game with, I believe, Sacramento. And so for the actual watching of games, I really haven't had the time, and it sucks that I live in Hawaii and respect that I can't, excuse me, see a lot of these games live unless it's the weekend because of the time difference. But one thing I'm also really happy about so far is that the doctor from the LA Clippers is suing that organization for how they went and they handled Kawhi Leonard's health, and how they fired him for it when he was telling them that they were doing a trash job. So I think it's great that that's actually come out for Kawhi Leonard essentially robbing the league for years by playing, I don't know what the number is, but seemingly 50 games or less every year. So I think it's great that somebody's tried to hold him / the organization accountable in respect to the entertainment value that the NBA is producing around Kawhi Leonard. So I think that was a really good thing to happen. And I'd like to see other people follow suit for a lot of these known load managers. Nick, what's the worst thing you've seen so far?
Well, first, I'm just going to respond to the whole Laker thing. They do have a good roster. I don't know about best in the league, though. I think that we'll see. Anthony Davis has to stay healthy. LeBron's getting older. You would think he's probably due for an injury here or something like that. He's him playing a long season deep into a deep playoff run, I think would still be difficult for him. So I don't know. They're shooting extremely hot from the 3-point line as well. So we'll see how that plays out as the year goes on as well. But I mean, look, Anthony Davis, I've always been a big fan. You know, he's essentially a point guard playing center a lot of the times. Great shooter. He's very dynamic. And the year they won the championship, I think he finished like 5th or 6th in the MVP voting. He's a contender for first team both ways. Two-way player, both sides of the floor. So Anthony Davis, like if he's the center point of this offense, yeah, they can do some good things. They can do some great things, right? But we'll see how it plays out over the season. So, but in terms of the worst things, I don't know. I wasn't ready for a negative highlight.
I know this channel's all about positivity.
I'm ready.
Yeah. I mean, the Bronny thing was pretty bad. I know you already kind of mentioned that, but we all saw it coming. So, I mean, like I didn't even watch it. I wasn't even surprised. So to me, that wasn't a negative. It was kind of already a foregone conclusion in a way. I see they're going to put him down to the G League now. So, I don't know. It happened exactly like I think many of us thought it would, right? So I don't know. I don't really have a really bad negative, I suppose. Maybe I can come up with one, but I mean, the Kawhi thing is that was mentioned. That's pretty bad. Embiid's already is kind of missing games. I mean, it's kind of the same stuff. I mean, it'd be nice if these guys, would play with a little bit of the fire we all want to see. But I don't know, that the negative highlights kind of already been talked about in terms of the couple big ones there, unless I may be missing something.
Dart, can I say something really quick? I'll be
Sure.
real fast.
Yeah.
It's interesting that as I hear everybody complimenting the Celtics, last year's champions, that most of the world still wants to pretend that we didn't see the Lakers beat them when LeBron was out last year, as well as other top teams. Yeah, it's just amazing what people pick and choose to be able to see about that Lakers roster. And as Nick said, well, maybe LeBron will get hurt and he'll really get out of their way. Well, we've seen that. We've seen that in the past, and the season before LeBron decided to sit out the end of the season, and the Lakers went on a crazy run without him and Davis. Anyway, that was my quick add-on to that.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think Davis getting hurt would hurt them the most, and he's definitely got more of a history of it than LeBron. So we'll see.
Hoop guy, what about you? What's the worst thing you've seen this year? You're muted.
Oh yeah, and sorry, I was gonna say one thing. What's his face from the Pacers scoring 0 points in one of the games? I had him. I had like a special. He just had to get like 8 points or something like that in a game. He got 0 points.
So
Hoop guy, what about you? Yeah.
The Knicks, I was high. I was rooting for them, but like I said, so far, I don't want to say they've progressively gotten worse, but I don't know. I was expecting more out of them, especially in the season opener. I was highly disappointed. The Nuggets, I don't feel like they have the adequate support. Maybe it's a chemistry thing, or maybe they'll find they'll find their niche somewhere down the season, but I don't know. I'm definitely like disappointed with the Knicks and the Nuggets so far. And those are teams that I'm rooting for. But I wanted to speak on something that Nick said about Anthony Davis during that the 2020 finals run. Not to digress, but did you know Anthony Davis was the only big man that shot 50, 40, 90 in a finals? And he was the best defensive player. He was the anchor of the defense, the best rim protector. I mean, to have that much responsibility and not win finals MVP, that's mind-blowing. But we know who it was, revolving around. And I agree. If the Lakers continue to play through Anthony Davis, I think their ceiling is back to the finals if they continue to play that way. Now, for whatever reason, if they break out of that system and start playing another system, well, we know what's going to ultimately happen to them. But the worst so far, Nuggets and the Knicks, I'm just kind of like, this is I'm still trying to adjust to this, if that makes sense. Because I had those teams coming out the gate like, hey, playing with their hairs on fire, but I'm not seeing it right now. But I'm going to be optimistic, and hopefully they can, find the right course, find the right chemistry, and get back on track. Because I'm not liking what I'm seeing out of them so far.
Scab, what's the worst thing that you've seen in the NBA this year?
Well, I did want to touch back on AD very briefly before I get to the worst, the unequivocally worst thing by far without close comparison. But just to put a final bow on what everybody's talking about, 2019-2020, the Lakers' last championship, Anthony Davis was first team All-NBA, first team All-NBA defense. He finished second in Defensive Player of the Year voting and fifth in MVP voting. That's what Anthony Davis was that year. In the playoffs, he led the playoffs in scoring and in win share. Okay, just to put a bow on how good Davis was the last time the Lakers won the title. He's playing that good now. Yep. With that said, just to confirm for all of the comments I'm seeing, I'm not picking the Lakers to win anything. I'm just highlighting that their roster is good enough to win it all. They won't, but it is. Now, speaking of a roster that is sheer and utter trash, it is unmitigated. In a single word, ass. And I've been saying it since the playoffs last year. I've taken it on the chin for an entire postseason and summer, talking about how absolutely dreadful, reprehensible, and pathetic the Denver Nuggets front office is. What a joke that lineup is. I've been talking about it all summer. People have been doubting it. Hoop God, you're clearly not following Scap Attack. If you were waiting for the Nuggets to come out with their hair on fire, you haven't been following me. I laid out the stats for the Lakers and what it is. Let's take a look at the Denver Nuggets and all of the money committed to them. You've got Jamal Murray as the second option on that team, making $50 million a year. Right now, he is averaging 17 points per game, 4.5 assists, and 4 rebounds on 40% shooting. Let's work down to Michael Porter Jr., the $36 million per year man, the third best player on that team, averaging 12 points per game on 30% shooting. Okay, what about number 4, Aaron Gordon, fresh off of his $33 million per year extension this summer, 4-year, $133 million, 11 points per game on 36% shooting. That is the starting lineup surrounding this dynamic and revolutionary talent in Nikola Jokic in his prime. That is what he has. Now let's take a look at that bench. Tragic ass. If you think the starters are bad, the bench through 2 games right now are 10 of 46 from the field. 10 of 46. It's like 18% shooting collectively for the bench, and they're averaging 13.5 points per game combined. This roster is absolutely laughable. I thought they would still win 50 games. Now, I was wrong about this. I thought they would win 50 games and be exposed not till probably the second round of the playoffs like last year. This team may not make the playoffs this year. They're going to be a playing game, and it's because this roster is amidst the worst in the league. The bench is one of the worst we've ever seen. Russell Westbrook, their big acquisition. Guys, he's shooting 2 of 18 from the field right now and 1 of 9 from 3. That's their best bench player. Now, of course, you have Nikola Jokic, 29 points per game so far, 10.5 rebounds, 8.5 assists on 51, 53, and 75 splits. Not going to be enough this year, though. So, they are by far the worst thing. I was expecting them to be bad, but they have exceeded even my wildest expectations of ass.
Scap, I love you. I mean, man, that was good. Thank you for bringing those stats. And Hoot Scott, I'm astonished. I'm astonished that you had high hopes for them after the Knicks destroyed their entire chemistry with their moves. And last season, on this very live panel, at the end of the playoffs, we were talking about the Nuggets looked like they were already on their last leg. They looked like a team that tried to repeat and couldn't, and that's going to be the end of them.
Yeah. AOH, I'll follow up why when you finish.
I'm done.
So, what's the worst thing for you, AOH? I think that's what that's what Hoop God's waiting on. What's the worst thing this season?
I'll ask a question. Do you guys remember when Ken Griffey Jr. got sent down to the minor leagues after he and his dad took their picture together?
Nope. Never recalled that.
It's just a little bit before my time.
I mean,
Like a
the
few
idea that
years.
people are
I don't think
pretending.
that ever happened.
No, of
Yeah,
course
that
it
never.
didn't. I'm making fun of.
I was about to say I don't remember that, but okay.
Pretty
No,
sure
I'm-
they both had a stellar
Yeah.
year. His rookie year and Ken Griffey still senior still playing at a high level.
If I'm not mistaken, wasn't Ken Junior hitting like right at 300? He may
No,
have been.
You guys,
Like
I give you
slight-
credit.
They were like 300 and 306.
It was a
Yeah,
joke.
okay.
I know you guys know that didn't happen. But
Oh,
my
yeah, of
point
course.
is, it was so. This was just so blatantly manufactured, and now we have the proof with Bronny going to the G League right after they got the photo, but people still talking about it being a historical moment. You fucked up history. You fucked up historical moments. You just crapped all over sports, and people are clapping for it. I'm nauseated. I'm absolutely nauseated. But I will say one thing about Bronny. People talking about, oh, he had all these expectations and pressure on him. Nobody, and I think you guys have all said this on your channels, nobody actually had expectations for Bronny, but maybe that's where the pressure was, because the only way Bronny could succeed was to do the impossible and prove everyone wrong. Now so I will say Bronny probably had some pressure on him because he was in a situation he absolutely shouldn't be in. No one expected him to do well, and he didn't, because he's not supposed to be there. And the only way he could have possibly had a positive story out of that is if he did the impossible. That's some pressure.
That was my greatest moment. That was ridiculous. Anyway, what's up?
So
with that?
anyway, what I was gonna speak of on my Knicks take. So when you replace Julius Randle with Karl Anthony Towns, right? I'm looking at, when I'm assembling a team, right? Guys who can complement one another, and guys who can complement the style of play. Prime example, when you take Julius Randle, as great as he stagnates the offense, right? Because he plays out of the low post, and he has more of an old school mentality, like style of play. But that does not augment what Jalen Brunson does, or Dante DiVincenzo. Now, Josh Hart, what I like about him, he can just find his spots and he can be productive. But when you bring in Karl Anthony Towns, somebody who can space the floor, giving those guys more lanes to drive and create plays for other teammates. Yeah, on the surface it looks better, but ultimately what I tried to ignore, and now I'm seeing it. Well, you took away that interior toughness, because that's what Julius Randle provided, right? And I'm seeing that now, because Karl Anthony Towns, I mean, it's just like, bro, the frame that you're playing at, I mean, do something. I mean, just bump somebody out the way. I mean, you're hanging out on the perimeter. That's not helping your team. You're 7 foot.
If we go back to the idea of chemistry that I mentioned, Robin and I were going back and forth on this last year. Julius Randle didn't play. So even if the trade didn't happen, I was like, do you break? I mean, do you fix what isn't broken? Like, do you put Julius Randle in there? And now you don't have Julius Randle, and you brought someone else. So even if Karl Anthony Towns was a step up from Randle wasn't part of the mix. So the chemistry issue is still there.
I'll tell you. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say real quick. I think Naj Reid would have been a perfect addition to that team with him. But that's all I wanted to say on that.
Not after what we saw in that Lakers game. What the hell was he doing?
Sports Steve, what's the worst thing you've seen this season?
Oh my gosh. So obviously, Hoop God, you talked about the Knicks, and I do want to just speak on that real quick. That's my team. That was definitely, I think both sides had equally, it's bad. So I think both teams are going to be a first round knockout. The Knicks might be able to be a second round knockout, but they're not going to. That trade was so horrible. They messed up the chemistry of everything. To AOH's point, Julius Randle is addition by subtraction. They did much better. All pretty much the whole time he was gone, they were clicking on all cylinders. Everybody played great. DiVincenzo leaving the team, they broke up the Villanova trifecta. That's my school. And
bingo.
Get it. They have Mikal Bridges, but Villanova boys, they can play. And he can shoot the lights out in a make or miss league. They need his shooting and his scoring. Cat is going to collapse in the postseason. He's just not good. Neither is Julius Randle. They're basically the same player. So Minnesota got exactly what the Knicks got. It's the same thing. Julius Randle, I get it. He has size and some physicality, but at will, he plays like shit. I mean, he loves doing that spin move and turning it over in the lane in the fourth quarter every time. He's just horrible. And yeah, I don't think he's going to deliver much for Minnesota except a first round knockout. But the absolute worst thing is the decline of the Western Conference. Phoenix, Minnesota, Denver Nuggets. The Western Conference was, to me, it was strong. It was super talented, and it still is. But I think OKC is not going to be as great as we think they look right now. Mavericks, they look great. But for the Mavericks and the Lakers to look the best, basically, in the Western Conference, it's crazy. For Denver, for what happened to them, for them to just, their whole roster to be so bad after winning a title 2 seasons ago, for Minnesota to be in the Western Conference Finals and go to a first round knockout this year, most likely. The Western Conference is sad. So I think that that's the worst thing happening from a basketball perspective, outside of, Bronny wearing a Halloween costume.
I mean, the Thunder.
That was a real
The Thunder's
costume.
still the best team in the West, though.
They are, but do you believe that they're going to win the title?
I could definitely see them winning the title.
Okay.
They've
looked like this before. They've looked really great like this before, and they've never won a title. So I don't believe them yet until literally I see them in the finals.
I mean,
they lose again to the Mavericks.
The Mavericks series. Now the Mavericks improved as well this season, but the Mavericks season last year with the Thunder was a dead even series. It was a 6-gamer, and they scored the same number of points in that series. So that was an even differential.
There's an echo here. It's AOH.
I'm on mute.
Somebody's got an echo now. It's Hoop God or somebody. I don't know. Anyway,
I'll leave and come back.
Yeah, I think it's you.
All I was saying was the. Am I echoing still?
No, I guess it's you, Scab.
Is it me?
It's somebody's causing an echo. If somebody's changed their audio settings.
It's not me.
Yeah, I think it's gone now. It's gone. Anyway.
Okay.
Technical difficulties.
The only thing I would say about OKC and Dallas is I do think that's a good matchup for Dallas. That's my only thing I'll say about that. But yeah, I could easily see OKC winning it all. Not even a question about it.
I want to say the worst thing for me this year, because I'm a 76ers fan, other than the entire team virtually being injured or not the entire team, but you know what I mean, the stars being absolutely demolished on the sideline, is that it's been released that Joel Embiid is not going to be playing back-to-backs, which I think is utterly ridiculous. I think it's terrible for the fan base of the NBA. And in contrast to what I was saying, because I do think this is the greatest thing, is with the Lakers doctor trying to hold the organization accountable particularly because he got fired. But I think it puts a lot of light onto the situation of teams just mishandling and not really providing great entertainment value for the fans. And I think that Embiid sitting there on the sideline because his knee gets inflamed is not good for the league. And it's not good for me as a Sixers fan. I think it's terrible. And just some of the things that y'all are talking about, and I didn't mention this, but I think hanging I know that Scap, you said that this wasn't the case for you, but I think a lot of people are really overhyping these first 3 games for the Lakers. I got to see it happen longer to see if it's going to be a real thing. But I think the worst thing so far is the Joel Embiid saying he's not going to do back-to-backs. And for me personally, the star-studded lineup of them having a big chunk of their power just completely out of the system.
I mean, there's no pride in the NBA anymore. Like, there's no pride in being out there on the floor playing games. For you to even say, like, just retire. If you have to play 50% of games, just retire.
Thank you. There's no pride, and there's also no shame that comes right along with that. They don't feel any shame stealing that money and sitting there and whining. I mean, my God.
All right. Sports team, I'm going to ask one more question before we open the line, but what is the most surprising thing that you've seen this week so far?
Surprising? Oh my gosh, that's surprising. Probably Denver Nuggets. I mean, I know they have a shit roster. You can't be even almost thinking about contending when you trade for Russell Westbrook. But it's just like they lost to the Clippers. I was surprised. I was surprised by that. I don't think that they should have lost that game. You lost to James Harden, a dad bod, and I get it. Jokic has a dad bod too, but this is how guys are showing up to the NBA, and there's just no scenario where I saw the Nuggets losing to the Clippers. So that was the most surprising for me.
Hoop God is saying he wants to talk about Joel Embiid real fast. So much so that he put it in the private chat. What's up? What's up, Hoop God?
So when I see does
When I
not
see
understand. Oh, can you hear me?
you're cutting out.
Am I good now, or is it still going out?
Now try again.
Hold on.
Yeah,
Hey,
real
wait.
quick. It was Halliburton
yeah.
I was thinking of. They got 0 points against the Knicks.
Did you see his look on the look on his face on the bench? Oh my gosh, that was hilarious.
Yeah.
They're
And
calling him Farnsworth Bentley.
he's the new takeover for JJ's
wow.
podcast. These people are terrible, making fools of themselves, don't even play.
And they're
in the
podcasting.
podcast.
He's not worried about winning. He's podcasting. Him and Paul George, serial losers, have the podcast.
No shame.
Am I good now?
Yes, try it again. Yep.
Okay, so no, when I'm looking at Joel Embiid and him not wanting to play back-to-backs for whatever reason, well, what I don't get is I know you have I'm assuming they have a great training staff there, but it's like how do you expect to avoid injuries when you're not playing, right? If I take it to the 21-90 rule, you do something for 21 days, it becomes a habit. You do something for 90 days, it becomes a lifestyle, right? Now, when you're not playing back-to-backs, okay, well, how does your body get a rhythm? Because you have to train your mind to essentially train the body. But if you're playing and then you're sitting out, you're playing and you're sitting out, is that not causing like internal confusion? So what he does not understand is he's going to necessitate an injury because he won't go out there and consistently play, because that's how you bulletproof the body. In practice, you go out there, you have those repetitions. I heard Michael Jordan say this. I heard Kobe say this. Their practices would be so intense that when they got to the game, it was like a relief, because they knew that the refs are going to moderate the game differently than the practices, right? You're going to do more things in practice that you're not going to be allowed to do in the game. So with him just sitting out, the optics of that is horrible, because it's like, a team, Dart, I'll use you for an example. You want to go see him play against the Celtics or the Bucks, a big game series is going to be televised. Now he's not playing back-to-backs. Well, you spent your money to go see Joel Embiid, the marquee star. Well, how does the fan get reimbursed? Like, I think that's a horrible precedent. I just don't like it. I just wanted to speak on that.
The whole thing, though, when you think about it, is that the young guys today, players today, they can no longer get upset when former NBA legends or fans that watched any basketball before LeBron James joined the league, like when we say that the NBA today is soft. They can't get mad about that anymore. They have to stop even questioning it, because that's what that says. They're soft. And if you can't play 80% of games, you should not be on the floor. NBA needs to do something about it, and they need to move on. There's so many guys that would be ready and available and willing to play and to entertain fans. Imagine that you have season tickets to any of these teams and guys are just not showing up to play. It sucks. This isn't a brand of basketball that's good. That's why the finals, 5 million people are watching, not 30 million, like when Michael Jordan was playing.
Well, what you said, Sports T, should be clearly the truth, but you're underestimating LeBron fans. They will find an excuse for anything. And one that comes to mind, if I'm playing devil's advocate, is the longevity. And they'll point at, people who played on broken feet and now they have to limp and stuff. I'm like, well, you're a professional athlete. And it's gross that now careers are extended, but the career itself is worse. It's not something to celebrate, LeBron fans. Yeah, they're in the league for 20 years, and it was a shitty 20 years. How about 10 great years? I mean, that's what an athlete's supposed to
But
do.
wouldn't you be able to play? Why can't they play for 30 or 40 or 50 years when the NBA is nothing but a layup line and a 3-point contest?
We may get there.
Oh, wait, y'all forgot flopping. That's a skill now.
We may get there.
I
I don't
actually
know
love
how
the
you can
memes.
flop when nobody's near you, nobody's defending, everybody gets out of the way.
It's
I
the
actually
phantom
love-
flop.
Those memes of LeBron, he's like an old man, literally, like still playing in the league. I don't know if you've ever seen those, but those always crack me up.
Look, the future of the NBA is Zori, the youngest daughter, coming into the NBA, LeBron coming out of retirement and saying, hey, it's my lifelong dream to play with my daughter in the NBA. That's what's
Oh,
the
wow.
future.
Oh man.
Oh, wow.
So I had this debate or discussion, and I've had it before, but I tried to explain to a group of, generally speaking, LeBron fans, specifically one, that the length of a career is arbitrary to the player. If they want to retire, they can. There's no set standard for when a career ends. Obviously, it begins when it begins. But you can decide to retire and come back if you have a place to, if they're going to let you in. And to your point, Sports T, I wouldn't be surprised if another gimmick comes up. I'm not saying specifically that, but I wouldn't be surprised if LeBron retires and he has a gimmick where he comes back. That's something that I think is not outside of the realm of possibility.
We're going to see gimmicks all year long. Bronny's splitting his time between the G League and the Lakers. So that means we're going to see him for every nationally televised game, either on the bench or they're going to be dying to get that alley-oop moment that LeBron thinks is comparable or equivocal to Ken Griffey and his son doing back-to-back home runs. This whole thing is going to be ridiculous. Then we're probably going to see Bronny come out for the playoffs, first father and son duo in the playoffs. It's just going to get more and more ridiculous, just like the Kardashians. So it's
How many times will they call up Quincy?
0 times. He's buried because, we can't shine a light on how bad Bronny James is.
God, I hope you're wrong, but you're probably right.
So, Sports T, what you spoke on about the layup line and everything, I want to just take time to salute the WNBA Finals, the Liberty versus the Lynx. I thoroughly enjoyed that series. It was highly competitive. I didn't see any flopping. I mean, people are gonna argue with the refs. I mean, I like the fact that they're not doing it begging for a call. It's just kind of like, hey, you're getting caught up in the heat of the moment. But just seeing that they display ball movement, like player movement, design plays, I enjoyed that series. And I'm just starting to see,
They play
Right.
physical. They play physical. They really utilize all 5 positions on the floor. I mean, the women's league, they are having a great brand of
Thank you.
basketball. I prefer to watch the WNBA. I think that it's funny because the men are sort of playing like them, relying on 3-point shot. They're not really dunking. The slam dunk has been pretty much removed as, a way to demoralize teams. So, I mean, there's really no difference. We're probably going to see men and women playing together. That's probably the future.
AOH,
without Silver, yeah.
AOH, what is the most surprising thing you've seen this season?
Skip me. Come back to me. I need to do something.
Scout.
Well, I'm
Legal
afraid to
activities.
talk because I think I was the echo. How do I sound?
Good.
All right. Well, I have to echo what Sports T said. Sports T, great takes today by you. I've been agreeing with a lot of what you're saying, and the most surprising thing for me, just to echo her previous earlier point, is just the overall decline of the West as a whole. Like not just Denver, but there's a lot of teams in the West that I was expecting a lot from this season, and I think all of them have taken a step back. And honestly, that's why I think so highly of Oklahoma City, because look, Isaiah Hartenstein he's not even playing yet. So once he comes back, that's going to allow Chet Holmgren to kind of shift off ball on the primary big and be more of like a rim protector and roamer and helper. I think Chet could be, in defensive player of the year talks by the end of the year. And they have 3 of the best perimeter defenders in the NBA. So I mean, that team is just, I think they're just so totally complete. They have the coach of the year from a year ago. And I think Shea is, while I thought Shea would win MVP preseason, I maybe don't think that anymore, but I still think the Oklahoma City Thunder are going to achieve everything that I anticipated. And it's because, one, they are they are as good as I thought. They have improved actually from last year when they were the second best team in the league based on record and net differential behind only Boston. They get better, but the rest of the West has taken a step down in my estimation. We'll see if now Dallas made a bunch of acquisitions. We'll see if maybe they just have this period where they're acclimating and then they really take off in the next maybe month or so. But I liked what I saw at Dallas in game one, and I was surprised to see. I watched the entire Phoenix game last night, and they never could get over the hump over Phoenix. Like Phoenix just controlled that entire game from start to finish. And that was while Phoenix blew a game the night before to LA. The Lakers came back and handily beat them in the second half. So Phoenix was playing on a back-to-back, and they looked like the more energized team and controlled that game from tip against Dallas. So I really don't even know who the second best team is in the Western Conference right now.
Hoopka, what's the most surprising thing that you've seen?
Surprising?
Yes, it's the same question I've been asking the last three rounds.
Well, I mean, I was trying to stay away from it, but of course, that's the elephant in the room. The whole father son taking the court. I'm gonna just be honest. I didn't even watch it because I knew I was going to be able to see the highlights on First Take, and like thoroughly annihilated that entire narrative. And they were trying to like mute him and, oh, come on, Mad Dog. I'm like, no, let Mad Dog speak because he's telling the truth. Like he's speaking the voice of the people who see this for what it really is. It's manufactured. It's not authentic. And we really do not care. So yeah, when they did that whole ordeal, I'm just like, you know what, let me find something else to watch because I'm not going to allow my perceptual vision to be, what's the word I'm looking for? Corrupted with this nonsense. Because they're going to be out of proportion. And I'm just like, so you got Quincy over here on the bench that's been out playing Bronny the entire time. Dalton Connect, like he barely gets any type of media coverage. But we're just supposed to hone in on a father-son. And then I hate when these guys try to compare it to, well, see, if you were in that position, you do it for your son. No, the hell I wouldn't. If my son does not meet the qualifications, no, I'm not going to just ceremoniously put him in a position that he's not qualified for. I always ask this question. If you put
Can I say something about what you just said, Hoop God? You said that you didn't watch it. Do you know that LeBron James and fans, that's exactly what they're banking on. They bank on NBA fans no longer watching. So those who didn't watch the game, you said highlight, that was a low light. Bronny got out on the floor and he bricked the open shot that LeBron, tried to give him. But people who didn't watch, they think that he made that shot because it's a highlight of him shooting, but you don't see the result of the shot. So it's laughable and hilarious. Like you hate it, right? But the LeBron James fans that like love this whole father-son duo, they probably didn't watch either. And people think that this is a highlight. And it's just, it's really pitiful where we're at, the state of basketball. It's not only surprising, it's shameful.
So Sports T, this is what ultimately made me turn away before it even got there. As soon as they panned the camera over to Ken Griffey Jr. and Senior, I already knew that. I was like, okay, yeah, this has been culminating ever since he got drafted.
Did you see LeBron saying that like Ken Griffey was like a great friend of his for his whole life?
Oh wow!
We never saw them together ever. But prior to this, he didn't even set the stage because LeBron tries to like set the stage for a couple of years for certain things and foreshadow just so that it looks good. He didn't even do that.
I've always said he should just go into politics because he is by far a better liar and a manipulator than he is a basketball player.
Yeah, but he's not that smart. So the fact that he tries to insult everybody's intelligence and tell us that the sky is red. It's just, it doesn't actually work. It works on LeBron James fans that are like in love with him, but it doesn't work on people with two eyes.
Oh, a wise man.
Glasses today. I got 4 eyes and it's not working on me. I'm sorry.
A wise man told me that the Jedi mind tricks only work on the simple-minded. And yes, that is true.
Nick, what is the most surprising thing that you've seen this season?
Yeah, I mean, I got to give credit to JJ Redick, I suppose. I think that's been the most surprising. The Lakers are 3-0. They only have a +6 differential, which is small. And again, they've been hot from the three, so they could easily be 0-3. You could argue, right, some close wins. But just the fact that it looks like that they have, JJ Redick has somehow someone kind of mentioned how the offense is kind of more flowing through AD now, or they're doing some things differently in terms of LeBron not being totally ball dominant. You know, I would say you have to give credit to JJ Redick for that, right? I mean, they must have obviously, I don't think this is something that JJ just came in this year with, right? They must have, I'm assuming they've talked about this before. And maybe LeBron was on board with it and said, fine, I think this can work. You seem to know what you're talking about. Of course, he says he has nothing to do with Redick getting hired, but I think we all know that's not true. So I got to give credit to Redick. You know, if he can get LeBron to listen to him or try something else, you know, he sees the value in getting the offense flowing through AD a little more and using the pieces around them and setting up some kind of system where LeBron is not the system. Then I think that's the most surprising thing to me. I've really, I guess, looking at that, I'm impressed that so far Redick seems up to the challenge, or seems up for the moment right now, right? We'll see how the rest of the year plays out. And again, I one thing I wanted to say was, you know, let's say Bronny gets drafted, right? We've already kind of all gotten over that. If they had done this in a little different way, like let's say throughout the season, some people get injured, or, you know, maybe they're, I don't know, towards the end of the season, Bronny's done okay in the G League. Let's just say that's true. And they bring him up for a couple games and then do it and then send him back, right? Instead of just 3 minutes out the gate just to make it happen and then send him down. Does anyone think maybe it could have been done a little differently, or a little more not so in your face, right? At least fake it a little better, right? If they had done that, would it be so bad? I still think it's the same thing, but I think just the way they did it too, talking about surprising and stuff, just the way 3 minutes photo op and then you're in the G League, it's just kind of, I don't know. I feel like you guys had to know that wasn't going to look good. You could have done it somewhat better, but yeah, I got to give credit to JJ Redick, and then I wonder if they could have done the Bronny thing a little different.
Sports T, I know you got to get going. You want to say goodbye to us? For one, just thank you for coming on the show. A lot of great takes. I'd be happy to have you back in the future. But do you want to plug?
Awesome. So I'll show up for you guys anytime. Nick, I do just want to say that, yeah, I think that it could have been done much differently. I think that most of our problem on this panel is not just that Bronny's in the NBA or even playing for the Lakers. It's the spectacle of it. It's JJ Redick coming out and saying he earned it. And we know he didn't earn it. He didn't earn it in high school. He didn't earn it in college. He's done nothing to show that he's a qualified NBA player. So they could have for sure done it differently. They're pushing it in our face. They're forcing it on us. They're saying that Bronny is good, that he's going to be an excellent NBA player. They're insulting our intelligence. So that's where, if they just kind of brought him in, sort of just buried him, they're interviewing him after every game. Dalton Connect is not being spoken to. Nobody, like even other rookies that were drafted. Rob Dillingham didn't even get in that game. He was a lottery pick. So it's the spectacle of Bronny James that people are angry about. It's we're treating, you know, a second round draft pick who wasn't good ever in high school, college. The McDonald's game was rigged for him. All these things, right? It's the spectacle. It's the fact that we're being told that he's great, and we're seeing what we're seeing. We're not really seeing that. That's not true. It's a mirage. So thank you guys for having me on the show. Really awesome. Michael Jordan fans are the best. And AOH, I really love you. I love your channel too. So don't ever criticize me, call me out, but we're here. Trust me.
I know. Just thought I'd make sure. We're not LeBron fans on here where we have to just rub each other's backs. We can talk like adults.
No, I absolutely love your channel. I hope you see my comments. I'm a fan, huge fan.
But before you go, being able to talk trash to each other, I do now have my most surprising moment, and it's Nick's just continuously terrible takes and praising JJ Redick and being surprised that the NBA continues to have no shame. We've been seeing them have no shame for so long. You can't. Here's what's surprising is that it's.
AOH, you're out in the.
I guess I was
too desert or something.
A bear got a hold to him.
Got him.
So it is the sad thing is that nothing's surprising anymore because they are absolutely shameless. And I will go ahead and mention Kenny Smith. He went further than I even thought that somebody bought out could go. And besides saying how high LeBron should be ranked and going on national television talking about how Bronny should be there, then he brought up that McDonald's American game as
AOH. Is he bought, or is he trying to secure a clutch contract because Inside NBA is getting canceled?
Well, that's kind of the same thing, right? You're securing finances one way or another.
You can't trust a guy that has like a spray painted on hairline. You can't trust that guy.
You would think.
But if Reddit can get LeBron to change, isn't that surprising? Like,
did he get him to change? No. Did he get him to change, or was this a plan? They've been planning this since Mind the Game.
Even if it was a plan and he still threw a plan at LeBron and got him to change.
Did he throw the plan, or is this Clutch's plan? Like, this is something that they, colluded on. They're collaborating on this plan. I don't think that this is JJ Redick's plan. I think he's part of the plan.
Either way, LeBron changing is surprising, right? Or so far as it would seem.
No, because he has the ability to play off the ball. It's not that he can't. He's just not very great at it. So he can do it, but he's not really good. Did you guys see him screaming at Rui Hachimura yesterday? Telling him that he'd better swing him the ball? Because now that they're playing in a way where he's not fully in control of the offense, now we're seeing him throw tantrums when he's not scoring his points.
He got to get his stats.
He's got to get his stats. So that's what we saw yesterday. He was screaming at Rui Hachimura. They reported it too.
Nick, I'm not going to go as far as AOH to say that you always have terrible takes, but this one is not the best.
Did we not agree earlier that the Lakers were playing a different brand of basketball?
No, we didn't.
Okay, so wait, I have a question. What brand were they playing when
maybe
they went to the Western Conference Finals with Darvin Ham?
You don't remember the brand of basketball they were playing that Darvin Ham had them playing prior to winning the in-season tournament? They were playing like this. Like, I'm telling you, if you watch the Starting Five documentary, did you see any of that?
No.
If you just watch the first episode, it's not a good series, so just watch the first episode. It's going to be 30 minutes of your life, but you'll see how LeBron James was setting Darvin Ham up from pretty much the beginning of the season to get fired. Through the whole fake, like, being angry about the minutes restriction, Darvin Ham wanted them to play exactly like what JJ Redick wanted them to play like. He even came out, he was trying to reduce LeBron's minutes, give him a reduced role on the team. He wanted the younger guys, he wanted to focus on them more. He came out in a press conference and said it. So, it's all a part of a plan that LeBron has, because how much longer can he play on the Lakers? He wants to play there for what? Another 2-3 years we're going to be suffering of this? Can the Lakers really continue to play poorly just because LeBron wants to gouge points, rebounds, and assists in a point forward role and shoot bricks? They have to start winning. So they can't keep having the negative press about being a play-in team, and it's the style of offense that they're playing. And I think that this is a plan that LeBron had with JJ Redick from since then. I don't think JJ is the mastermind. He's being given a job.
Nick, I want to say that I'm going to try to follow up with a most surprising thing. So, but yeah, Sports Steve, thank you. I know you got a drive to Napa, but again, thank you for joining us.
I wish I was driving to Hawaii. Salute, guys. Have a good one.
Hey, safe travels.
Have a good one. Safe travels.
Thank you so much. Happy
safe.
Sunday.
Bye.
So, Nick, I'm usually ganged up on for some of my takes, and I'm glad you got to feel some of.
Yeah, he said terrible takes. What's the other terrible take?
But everyone jumped on you, but everyone's going to jump on me now, because for me, the most surprising thing is how bad the Nuggets have come out the gate. If y'all heard, y'all that have, everyone on the panel, I've been defending the Nuggets, saying that you guys were overblown with your takes about how they're just going to fall off a cliff. But as of now, it looks like that might be the case, but I'm not sure. But for me, that's been the most surprising thing. I watched that Nuggets Clippers game or the end of it, and it was a close game, but I think that they really had a good shot. Really, they just leaned on Jokic super hard at the end of that game. And he took a terrible floater at the end of it. He just kind of tried to draw a foul, it looked like, and then he went and he shot the shot and missed it terribly, and then the game was essentially over. But all y'all can jump on me, Nick. We're gonna get jumped together here.
I just want to say I've watched the entirety of both the Nuggets games thus far, and Jokic is essentially just going to sit in double and triple teams all season long. The roster is not providing any reason for other teams to not do it. He was doubled literally before he even made the catch for most of the Oklahoma City Thunder game, and as soon as he made the catch, the second defender was right there, and Jokic made the right passes. He ended that game with 13 assists. Quite frankly, it should have been 20, maybe more than 20 assists with the ridiculous amount of wide open good looks that they were getting and bricking all night long against Oklahoma City. And it started the same exact way in game 2 against the Clippers. And Jokic just decided he was going to be more aggressive on the scoring front. He jacked up 26 shots, I think. He scored 41 points. He made a career high 7 3-point shots. But this is what it's going to be all year. Is Jokic going to force contested shots against double teams all season long? Or is he going to continue to just give up the ball to wide open shooters and watch them miss all game long? Then when he goes to the bench, they're going to get outscored by 12, 13, 15, 17 points every single night in the 10 minutes that he sits out. This Nuggets team is a disgrace. I've been saying it for 6 months now. And finally, the entire world can take a peek at just what heinous ass they really are. Seriously, fire that general manager. Fire Booth immediately.
Do you, when you watch them, do you ever picture in your mind who they should have added that might have changed that dynamic?
Quite frankly, if I were running the team, I would have tried to trade Porter Jr. last season or in the offseason, and I would have done absolutely nothing with Jamal Murray. They extended him for a $208 million extension over 4 years this summer on the heels of that god-awful playoff performance. And then he looked even more pathetic in the Olympics. They come out and then extend him for 4 for $208. I would have allowed him to enter this final year on an expiring 1-year contract. There would have been so many takers in the Jamal Murray market. You could have traded him probably to any one of number 10 to 15 teams would have been in on Jamal Murray on a 1-year expiring contract this year. You could have gotten a little haul of first-round picks. What I'm suggesting is there was no readily available fix for how bad they've allowed this roster to become. They should have gone with a full-blown mid-career rebuild for Jokic. It would have been, a couple 2-3 years of bad teams, but he has probably a worse team now than what he would have had they gone that path. And then in 2 or 3 years, he would have had a viable contender around him at like 31, 32. What I'm suggesting is the Kobe Bryant blueprint. Kobe had the Shaquille O'Neal team for the first 8 years. They were god awful for 3 years, in the midst of his prime, like 26, 27, 28 years. And then they got Pau Gasol. They really didn't change the roster that much otherwise. They just dropped Pau Gasol in the middle of that lineup, and all of a sudden they go to 3 straight championships and win 2. Jokic doesn't need a lot. He just needs more than what they've given him to this point, basically for his entire career. So what are you asking me? What can I drop in place to make it better? Literally anything would be better than this. Just remove those trash cans from this lineup, and it would be better by addition, by subtraction.
And not only did they not bring in someone good, but they've tied up their ability to make moves with all that money.
They can't trade those. Who is going to trade for Michael Porter Jr., averaging 12 points per game on 30% shooting, making $36 million a year for another, I believe, 3 seasons? The guy, how long has that guy been in the NBA? He has not added a single element to his game. He still can't make plays off the dribble. He still can't get shots for anybody else. He can't create his own shots. He is a spot-up 3-point shooter, and that's it. And he's shooting 3 of 16 from 3 so far this year, and he's lousy at defense. Who's going to say, oh, gee, let me go get that guy for $36 million a year? It's pathetic what the front office has done to Nikola Jokic.
I just dropped the link in my channel's chat. If you'd like to call in, the easiest way is to come to my channel. And if you like what I had to say, please subscribe to my channel and like the video. And please do so for everyone on this show. So that's at NMB Sports, at DeJuan Sanders or at the HoopGod_23. Scap Attack and AOH. If you're unfamiliar with us and you like what you have to say or we have to say, please subscribe to us. But if you want to call in, I've dropped the link on my channel, Michael Jordan Fans Are the Best, MJFB. You can find it there. And if you'd like to call in, you'll be able to have a minute to ask us a question.
I have a question for the whole panel. I want everyone to answer this. Whose general management has been worse for the roster, the Warriors or the Nuggets?
Nuggets.
For this year?
No, the last few years.
Last few years?
I think they've been pretty good for the last few years, both of them.
I would say it's probably about a wash.
Yeah, do you hate that they let go of Clay and re-signed Draymond, or do you hate all the money that they paid Jamal Murray? Is kind of the way I see it. I don't like how much they paid Jamal Murray, to be honest with you.
Definitely got rid of Draymond. I would take Jamal over Draymond.
I mean, the fact that this season bringing in Buddy Hield is the most exciting thing that's happened in years tells you that they haven't done very much.
Yeah.
But hang on real quick. Buddy Hield is leading the Warriors in scoring through 2 games. He's averaging 25 points per game on, wait for this now, 70% shooting from the field. He's shooting 70% right now and scoring 25 points per game. I would take that. Nikola Jokic would slather himself in honey for that kind of production. Okay. Are you kidding me right now? Look at Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr., and Aaron Gordon. These guys are cumulatively scoring like 35 points per game total among them all and shooting below 35% cumulatively amongst them all. They're making $120 million annually on that roster. It is a disgrace.
Would Buddy Hield be doing that on the Nuggets? We talked about the system earlier. Would Buddy Hield be producing like that for the Nuggets?
Here's the thing, though, when you talk about system generated. I don't want to get into a big argument here, but are we prohibiting Steph Curry from the conversation of being system generated then? Like, look at Steph Curry before Steve Kerr arrived. People are going to say, oh, his ankles were injured for the first 4 years of his career. He played like 65 plus games in 3 of his first 4 seasons of his career. And he came in, he was an older player when he came in from Davidson into the NBA. This guy was like an 18, 19 point per game scorer till he was like 25, 26 years old. He made 1 All-Star, and then Steve Kerr came in. All of a sudden, he's a 30 point per game player and he's winning league MVPs. I think Steph Curry is every bit as system generated as anybody else has been throughout the last decade plus there at Golden State.
Oh, this is very
I wanted to say something too, real fast, AOH. I think a lot of people really just undervalue, and because we've specifically been talking about it, this with LeBron is how much a coach and a game plan and a style of play has to do with a player's production and the team's success. And I agree. I think that Steph Curry is vastly a system player. I agree with you, Scout.
But here's what's interesting, a spinoff conversation about that. Where were you, Scap? Was it this show where people were calling in and just like irate about how Mark Jackson was disrespected and Steve Kerr didn't deserve the job? Now I'm hearing credit being given to Steve Kerr for turning Steph into what Steph could have been. I'd like that conversation to go a little bit further.
I mean,
we got a caller in the background. If
I wanted to follow up on that whenever Scap finished. That's
we can take the caller.
All right, we're going to take the caller. Nazir, welcome, Nazir.
Hey, how y'all doing? Y'all hear me
Hello.
Okay? Hello, y'all hear me okay?
You got it.
Yes, sir.
Yes, please turn off your YouTube if you have it on.
All right, hold
on. You got a minute? Yeah, I think you're on delay. Just use the website that you called in with.
All right.
You got a minute to ask a question to somebody.
All right. I actually had a question for Sports T, but I can answer to any Scaffold Tap, I guess. She brought up the fact that one day it might be mixed genders with basketball, the way the defense is with the NBA and everything. it brings me to back in the day. I don't know if any wrestling fans, WCW and WWF. WCW folded, and eventually WWF didn't have no, well, WWE didn't have no competition, and they started to just slack. Do you think that maybe one day we will get a actual new professional company to come and actually give the NBA maybe give them some type of competition, even though I mean the NBA has 70 plus years of experience. I don't know. I mean, maybe they lack of competition. Maybe that'll help. Y'all have a good one.
All right. Thank you, Nazir.
Yeah, can I answer this one real quick?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't think so. Mainly because what we would consider like the semi-pro or not the NBA market is already extremely saturated. Not only do like in America, you have college and the G League. Players can go play overseas. There's tons of leagues all around the world for players to go to. So I think what he was specifically saying is in America, will we get some kind of XFL for the NBA? Again, I think you've seen like the 3-on-3 league, and there's been some other small things that have tried. But no, I just think what is below the NBA, that market is already extremely saturated. With the XFL, right? Like what we have in football, right? Where America is the biggest. There really is no international game. I understand there's like the Canadian Football League, but essentially you have college and the pros, and that's it. And then you have Canadian. So there was still, I think, a big market there, a big demand that they could profit off of or get a big enough eyeballs onto with the XFL or some kind of amateur, arena league. That demand is there. I just think what's underneath the NBA, there's already way too many options, I think, for someone to make a splash with so much money that they can essentially bring in all the best players in the world who aren't in the NBA. That's a big task to ask. I just don't think that's going to happen.
All right. Well, Nazir left, and no one is calling in. So
I did
you want to continue the Steph Curry conversation, or?
Well, I'll respond to Nick. I did a video about the need for an X NBA instead of an XFL, and most of the people commented what you just described as college basketball. As if people want to see people competing, just go watch college basketball.
All right.
So with the Steph Curry, Mark Jackson, and Steve Kerr dynamic, where I give Mark Jackson credit is that they traded away Monte Ellis to put the ball in Steph Curry's hand, essentially. Now, what Mark Jackson was trying to do, he was trying to make Steph Curry like that, okay, you're going to score and facilitate, like pretty much giving him the responsibility of doing both, similar to how Jerry West played. But the only problem is that you can't put that much responsibility on a player like Curry, because ultimately he's like what he's going to bring to a team. It's going to benefit the team if he's off the ball more. And when I saw that, I think if I'm not mistaken, Steph Curry averaged like 25 or 26 points and like slightly under 10 assists in 2013. And Steve Kerr just modified it. He was like, okay, we're going to have Draymond take on the facilitation and like let that be his role and responsibilities. Now we're going to have Curry coming off screens like Reggie Miller, Rip Hamilton, Ray Allen. But at moments he could create for himself and for his team. But his ultimate goal was coming off all those screens, because what is he doing? He's wearing down those defenders, giving him open looks. And now you're causing a lot of chaos and confusion, because if you take one guy, you put him on the perimeter and he's just trying to create up there, well, that's not really helping your team. That makes it easier for the defense to lock in on you versus a player that you have to constantly be looking for. He's running through screens, back screens, and it's confusing the defense. And then you got Draymond, who can also find other guys when you got all that attention on Curry. So I give Mark Jackson his credit. Like, I think he unlocked Steph Curry, but ultimately Steve Kerr kind of modified that system and like, okay, Curry, this is where we're going to put you, and this is what's going to lead us to the promised land.
Real quick, what I was talking about, just to confirm the specificity of the numbers. Steph Curry, until his age 26 season, his first 5 seasons in the NBA, he was a 20-point per game scorer, and he made 1 career All-Star appearance until his age 26 season, 5 full seasons. Oh, but his ankle was hurt. It wasn't. He played 74 games or more in 4 of the 5 seasons. He went from that to winning back-to-back league MVPs in his age 26, 27 season. That trajectory is literally unheard of. Okay, something changed drastically from that first chunk, that first portion of his career that we saw until now. And that's something with Steve Kerr. It just is what it is.
That's more than a
Absolutely agree.
tweak. That's more than a tweak to a system.
Yeah.
And I think that's one thing that a lot of people, and again, I think it's a lot of things that people undervalue, and people like to take dumps on Steve Kerr sometimes. I'm not saying everybody, but Steve Kerr really figured it out for that team. And especially and a lot of people like to joke about Draymond, including myself, but including him and just making that thing work with the great shooters, and then Draymond with the defense and the high post passing was amazing. So
Yeah, like I always say about Phil Jackson, people always say Phil Jackson got real lucky and whatnot. And, maybe there's a little bit of truth there, but when we talk about the pros too, managing egos and getting guys to buy into a system, grown men who are paid millions of dollars, to get people to buy in and put their egos aside and to manage that and massage that, it is not easy, right? And so I think it is more than just the X's and O's. It is also getting guys to buy in. And again, the system on the floor is nice, but everyone's got to buy into the system, right? And it's really hard. You have a lot of divas when people make that much money, and a lot of egos, guys who think they're the best in the league, etc. And you're trying to split that pie up. It's not easy at times. That's as big a game as is the on-court stuff.
Mm-hmm. And managing egos, it can go too far, because I can't get out of my head now that I remember it happened. Draymond Green physically threatening Steve Kerr. He shouldn't be on the team anymore. I mean, do I give Steve Kerr credit for being patient enough to deal with that because Draymond's a good fit? I don't actually need an answer to that. I'm just venting the frustration. Here, I'll give the Warriors organization a compliment. They got rid of Gilbert Arenas. I guess they were pretty smart. They do know what they're doing.
Yeah, and I was going to change my answer that probably the Warriors is worse. But the thing is, we'll see in the next couple of years with the contracts that the Nuggets have given. Again, if Murray goes out and averages 25 and 10 assists, then the money is justifiable, I suppose, right? And he still has the chance to do that. I just think they overpaid Porter and Murray. I just don't think they're going to live up to the contracts. But, we'll see, right? So,
see, and here's the thing with Jamal Murray has shown glimpses in these first 2 games. Like in game 1 they played against Oklahoma City, Murray started the game 2 of 2 from the field with 7 points, and the Nuggets were up 19-10. Like when Jamal Murray is making the shot, the amount of wide open shots that are being generated by the Nuggets right now and that they're missing is alarming. It didn't even feel like I was watching an NBA game for stretches of their first 2 contests because of how many wide open shots they were getting and missing. It's just startling. So if Jamal Murray is knocking down shots, then it looks different. But he didn't do that in the entire playoffs last year. He made some game winners against the Lakers, which people are going to always think of. He played horribly in most of the series against the Lakers. He played really bad in the series against Minnesota. He was terrible in the Olympics, and he looks awful in these first 2 games. So, and he's an injury waiting to happen. So right now, this is as good as it's going to be for him, right? Like he is theoretically as healthy as he's ever going to be for the remainder of the season right now, and he still looks poor.
Absolutely.
It's heartbreaking that.
Do y'all have anything? Oh, my bad. What's up, Newish?
I just thought it was. Scap just mentioned how he didn't feel like he was watching NBA basketball, and
Newish is in the desert.
Yeah.
No, he had an encounter with.
You cut out.
Anyway, are you in the desert?
No, he has an encounter with the grizzly bear.
Are you taking soil samples in the desert?
I don't know, man. I'm back on Wi-Fi now. It should be better than ever.
Repeat what you just said before that.
Oh, I said it stood out to me when Scap was saying, he didn't feel like he was watching a professional basketball game. Yeah, I get it. And yet, he actually described what the NBA is now. How sad is that?
But see, here's the thing. It's not. The NBA scoring is ramping up exponentially from basically the last 3-4 years. We're on a trajectory never before seen since the 1960s in terms of scoring per game. Field goal percentage is up because no one's defending really by and large. And look, a lot of these players do have a lot of skill, and the lack of defense is evident and apparent. They're making a lot of shots today. And the Nuggets, they ain't making any shots, and they're wide open looks, as they should be, because they're going to throw 2 or 3 guys at Nikola Jokic all game long. So that does not leave a lot of defenders to devote to the remainder of the players out there, and they're failing miserably. I mean, they scored 87 in game 1 and 105 in game 2. League-wide scoring on average the last 2 seasons is 114 per game. That's league-wide average 114. Nikola Jokic has been the best player by a mile in per 100 possessions and what he adds to a roster in the last basically 4 seasons. That's why should have won 4 league MVPs and he's won 3. So even with that guy's presence on the court, they're still the worst offensive team in the NBA. This is really startling. And real quick, guys, I don't want to just monopolize on a couple teams, the Lakers, the Nuggets, the Warriors. I want to give a shout out to another pathetic front office, flushing another all-time great player and his prime right down the toilet. Milwaukee, they're just on the spiral down the toilet right now. I mean, I really thought maybe year 2 of Dame Lillard might prove to be a little bit better than year 1. They're not even a top 4 team probably in the Eastern Conference this year. And it's just a shame to see what basically these 2 guys in Nikola Jokic and Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think two guys that really 2-3 years ago, you could see a trajectory of them getting top 10 to 12 all time. And they just got pitiful supporting cast by and large for the majority of their careers. Like, can you imagine Giannis or Jokic leaving in their prime to go play with a Dwayne Wade caliber player in 2011 or a Kevin, like look at what Steph Curry even did with what Kevin Durant did in going to pair with Steph Curry. I mean, look, the 2 best players essentially that we've seen in the last 12, 13 years, other than say what you want to say from a historical standpoint, Kevin Durant and LeBron James were kind of the 2 best players of the last 15 years. Kevin Durant went and played with Steph Curry. He was like a top 3 to 5 player in their primes. And LeBron James went to play with Dwayne Wade, who was a top 3 player in their primes. Nikola Jokic can't even get an all-star. Like, I'm not asking for a top 3 to 5 player for Nikola Jokic. I'm asking for 1 all-star in his entire career. It's pathetic. It really is. It's hard to watch.
All right. Yeah, I think we had a great show today. Unless y'all want to talk about something else, I think this is probably a good time to start winding it up. Do y'all have any more topics you want to speak on?
I would ask. I mean, we can cut it.
Yeah, I got one. So I'm curious,
my camera
guys.
froze. It's just my bald head now.
Hey guys, I'm curious. Do you remember when Rick Bucher he leaked that email out about Clutch Sports trying to
You're cutting out
for LeBron? I'm just wondering. Oh yeah, I see. I got it. My signal's yellow. Just a second. Let me disconnect. Okay.
Okay. I think this is a good technical difficulties.
Am I clear now?
Technical difficulties.
Okay. No, I'm just curious. Like, is Clutch Sports going to finally start promoting and propagating Anthony Davis to win Defensive Player of the Year since he's a client of their organization? I don't know. I just, just something I want to throw out there and just see what you guys think about that.
The difference is that he's worthy, right? If he keeps playing the way he plays, he's at least in the conversation, I would think. But I don't know. We'll have to see.
I mean, he's been in the mix. Anthony Davis has been like a fringe Defensive Player of the Year for years. In 2019, 2020, he finished second. He finished 4th last year. For Anthony Davis, what it has always been and will remain to be is his sustainability. Can he play 65 plus games? He played 76 last year. If he plays, over 68 games this year, he's probably going to be first team All NBA, first team All NBA defense. And depending on what the Lakers team defense looks like, then he's probably going to be in the running for defensive player of the year. The issue is, as great as Anthony Davis is defensively, like, you have to have a top league-wide team defense too to get that kind of notoriety as an individual, which I don't know if that's fair or should be the case, but it's just the way that it is.
We were kind of talking about this the other day, like the stats. If he just has really good block numbers, rebound numbers, and the Lakers are doing okay, right? It's sort of like the Rudy Gobert who we were talking about. If he can have good defensive numbers, then your team, I think, arguably could maybe not be that good, but you have a bit of a chance to still win that award. It's kind of one of the lagging awards of the NBA. They just look at rebounds and blocks, I feel like.
Right. But so Rudy Gobert, who won it last year, he had the good box metric analytics, but then he was just viewed as the anchor of the Timberwolves defense, who were the number 2 net rated defense in the NBA. So, he got that notoriety individually because collectively of his team. Meanwhile, his team has a lot of great defenders on it anyway, right? Like, they've got a lot of great perimeter defenders as well. So, I mean, it's what came first, the chicken or the egg. Are you as the individual hoisting your team up to those levels, or are you just like the main cog in an already good defensive team?
Right. It's like wins with the MVP.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think AD got sabotaged when they allowed Caruso to leave and sign with the Bulls. And then, if I'm not mistaken, they traded away KCP. Like, those were 2 of their most important perimeter defenders, right? Who could go out there and play aggressive because you had that rim protection and that low post presence with Anthony Davis down there, and I think Dwight Howard. I'm like, now you ship those guys away, knowing that they're integral to your team. Now that puts Anthony Davis at a more disadvantage. And I'm like, well, damn, Clutch, y'all not looking out for the best interests of your best player, essentially. For what reason, I don't know why. But yeah, I was just curious on that.
Here's the thing, ultimately, to put a bow on this, Hoop. Let's not feel too sorry and too sad for AD, because AD made his own bed and now he has to slumber in it. He signed with Rich Paul. He forced the trade from New Orleans to play with LeBron. And you know what the deal will always be. No matter how great you are, you will always be overshadowed by LeBron. If you're winning, he gets all the credit. If you're losing, you get all the blame. So, and Anthony Davis needs to be diminished to uplift LeBron. I mean, we cannot have Anthony Davis winning league MVP and defensive player of the year this year alongside LeBron. It won't be a good look for LeBron. Even if they win the title, then it looks like AD was the main guy. We can't have that. Clutch can't have that.
So Scab, so in an indirect way, that's the price for selling your soul, huh?
Yeah. All right, gentlemen, let's wrap this thing up. But I want to thank the chat for coming through, all the people from Scap's channel, NMB's channel, Hoop God's channel, AOH's channel. I don't think Sports T connected her channel. I think she may have had some issues. And then everyone that was in my chat, thank you for joining. Some of your stuff was hilarious. I saw people talking about fighting each other in the chat earlier.
I saw some debates going down. There's a little animosity in the chat. I saw that.
And then please go and check out all these guys' channels and girl, if you're unfamiliar with them. So check out at NMB Sports, at the Hoop God 23, at Scap Attack, at Angry Old Hoops Fan, at Sports T, at Michael Jordan Fans are the best. Check us all out and subscribe to our channels if you like what we had to say. Gentlemen on the panel, do you have any last words for the people? Nick.
I can't believe my takes were attacked today. I took that very personally. I don't take that lightly. No, I'm just kidding. It was fun as always.
Hoop God, what you got to say?
Man, just enjoyed the episode. Just breaking down basketball. This new season's on the way. This is essentially the best time in sports, if you love sports, because you got the World Series going on. Of course, you got the NFL right in the heart of its season. And then, of course, hey, the NBA's back. So I love it, man. This is like, for me, this is just like my heaven. This is my paradise. So just can't wait to talk to on the next episode next week and chop it up with you guys. I don't have anything else outside of that.
Scab, what do you got?
Just want to thank you, thank the panel, thank all the viewers for tuning in. Shout out to all of you guys, and good luck, Hoop God, tonight. You've got a 3-3 team at a 3-4 team.
Don't jinx us.
You're 5.5 point underdogs now tonight. So if you lose, it's 3-4. It's not looking good for you. So best of luck tonight.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Yep. And again, thank you all. And then Nick, it wasn't just your takes; it was your takes at large. Every take of yours was
Yeah, I know.
attacked by
You have to bring receipts. You can't just throw that out there and not bring receipts. I don't know what that was about. I know sometimes I do like to play. I like to be a little political and try to give both sides of the story, but sometimes I do that just to swim upstream a little bit. But yeah, I'm gonna need to see some receipts.
All right. Well, thank you all again. And Michael Jordan fans.